Did you know for The Silence of the Lambs, Sir Anthony Hopkins viewed the film as a last-ditch effort to really break out in Hollywood? Although he had acted in movies and on television since the 1960s, he had not reached A-list status, nor had he attained the prestige for which he had been hoping with his screen acting career. He went on to say that if the film hadn't garnered the career boost he was seeking, he would have then quit his acting career in Hollywood and focus all his efforts instead on the British stage. Ultimately, the film was a major critical and commercial success, instantly making him a household name. His performance in the film earned him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, which he won, immediately launching him into A-list status in Hollywood. 2. When Sir Anthony Hopkins found out that he was cast as Dr. Hannibal Lecter, based on his performance as Dr. Frederick Trevis in The Elephant Man, he questioned director Jonathan Demme and said, "But Dr. Trevis was a good man," to which Demme replied, "So is Lecter. He is a good man too, just trapped in an insane mind." Did you know for A Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell was hurt when, after he and Stanley Kubrick had had such a close relationship during filming, Kubrick seemed uninterested in continuing their friendship afterward. McDowell later attributed some of that sentiment to his being a young actor, unfamiliar with the intimacy of the filmmaking process, but admitted that he was very upset by it at the time. McDowell remained friends with Kubrick's wife, Christiane Kubrick, and, while visiting her after Kubrick's death, had a good cry over his gravesite. 2. Patrick Magee kept asking Malcolm McDowell if Stanley Kubrick was all right with his performance, as he felt that he was being far too over the top. Magee said that he felt like he was taking a dump, so overwrought was his performance. McDowell assured him that this was exactly what Kubrick was after. Jack Nicholson had a similar experience in The Shining, feeling he was coached into being way over the top in that movie, but Kubrick was happy with both performances. 3. This film was Stanley Kubrick's first solo screenplay. He also handled the advertising campaign. Did you know for Smile, a couple of days before the September 30th, 2022 release, actors from the film showed up at various baseball games, sitting behind home plate dead still and smiling while staring into the camera, unmoving despite fans in the audience being understandably concerned, while wearing Smile shirts. Another soon appeared in the background with the crowd during the Today Show. 2. The smiles in the film are all natural and not enhanced with visual effects. The studio even asked if they could be tweaked, but Parker Finn stuck to his guns as he wanted them to be grounded in their creepiness. 3. Paramount originally planned for the film, which had a low budget of $17 million, to be a streaming-only release on Paramount+. The film was screened for test audiences and scored much higher than anticipated, prompting Paramount to give the film a theatrical release in the United States. It grossed $22 million over its opening weekend, which Paramount's distribution chief Chris Aronson said exceeded our wildest expectations. 4. The film was originally titled Something's Wrong with Rose before being renamed Smile. Did you know for What We Do in the Shadows, Stu Rutherford had not played a primary acting role in a movie prior to appearing in this one? He was an extra in Boy. Stu was a part-time business analyst for a Wellington company, Landworks. He was hired for the film under the impression that he would be working on computers and that he would play a small part in the film. 2. About 125 hours of footage was shot, most of which was improvisation from the cast. The process of editing that down to a 90-minute movie took almost a year. The directors have stated that they are considering making all the footage available online so that fans can edit their own version. 3. Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi wrote 150 pages of script, but chose not to show it to a single person involved in the film, both crew and cast. They only described broad strokes of what each scene was about, sometimes providing a beginning and an end point. This was to keep things spontaneous and to allow the actors to be surprised by the events unfolding before their eyes. 4. The bars and nightclubs the vampires visit are actual bars in Wellington's entertainment district based around Courtenay Place. Did you know for Hocus Pocus 2, Bette Midler is largely responsible for Hocus Pocus 2 becoming a reality? In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Bette stated that when she started to realize how popular the original film had become, she was surprised and started making calls. After going online, she stated, "I'd never seen so much Hocus Pocus merch." She says she realized something was going on. As I watched it progress, I'd call the studio once a year to ask, "How about it?" 2. On the topic of a Hocus Pocus trilogy, here's what the three main stars had to say. Kathy Najimy says, "I guess never say never, but I feel grateful that we got to do it again." Sarah Jessica Parker says, Of course, I'd be happy to have a conversation. It just depends on what Kathy and Bet want. Bette Midler says, I'd love to have a trilogy, especially a character I love playing. If there was a third one, of course I'd sign on, but I don't know how. On June 5, 2023, development of Hocus Pocus 3 was officially announced by Sean Bailey, president of Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture Production. 3. Doug Jones said that the wig he wears as Billy Butcherson in this movie is the same one he... Did you know for E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Richard Attenborough later said that he felt bad that his own film, Gandhi, beat this film to the Best Picture Academy Award because he considered his friend Steven Spielberg's film more deserving of the award and was convinced before the ceremony that it would win. Attenborough described E.T. as a quite extraordinary piece of cinema. 2. At the auditions, Henry Thomas thought about the day his dog passed away to express sadness. Director Steven Spielberg cried and offered him the role of Elliot on the spot. 3. The filmmakers had requested that M&Ms be used to lure E.T., but the Mars company denied their request, fearing that E.T. was so ugly he would frighten children. Reese's Pieces were used instead, and as a direct result, Reese's Pieces sales skyrocketed. Because of this, more and more companies began requesting that their products be used in movies. 4. Steven Spielberg shot the film in chronological order to invoke a real response from the actors, mainly the children, when E.T. departed at the end. All emotional responses from that last scene are real. Did you know for Child's Play, during the initial release, a crowd of protesters formed around the entrance to MGM, calling for a ban on the film? They claimed it would incite violence in children. Local news reporters were broadcasting live from the scene, and the producer David Kirshner was watching, disturbed by what he saw. Jeffrey Hilton, who worked with Kirshner at MGM, said he could defuse the situation in 10 minutes. Hilton went down and spoke to the ringleader, and then the group disbanded, to the chagrin of the newscasters. Hilton never specified whether it was threats or diplomacy that saved the day. 2. Chucky's full name, Charles Lee Ray, is derived from the names of notorious killers: Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, who is the assassin of John F. Kennedy, and James Earl Ray, who is the assassin of Martin Luther King. 3. Don Mancini said in the original script, Child's Play was at first a satire on toy marketing and merchandising for children, before the idea morphed into a horror film instead. 4. Catherine Hicks, who plays Karen, and Kevin Yeager, Chucky's creator, met on set and were married a year later. Did you know for From Dusk Till Dawn, Salma Hayek has a real fear of snakes and had always refused to be near them? Naturally, when she read the script, she knew her phobia would prevent her from taking the part. Robert Rodriguez conned her into thinking that Madonna was ready to nab the part instead, so Hayek spent 2 months with therapists to overcome her fear. 2. Salma Hayek did not have a choreographer for her dance because, according to her, you can't choreograph the live snake she wore around her neck. So director Robert Rodriguez just told her to feel the music and dance to it. Rodriguez used the same tactic with Jessica Alba in Sin City. 3. Before George Clooney was cast, numerous actors were considered for the role of Seth Gecko, including Antonio Banderas, Steve Buscemi, Michael Madsen, Tim Roth, John Travolta, Christopher Walken, Jeff Goldblum, James Woods, and Robert De Niro, all passed because of scheduling conflicts. The only one to outright decline the role was Travolta, who said he had no interest in doing a vampire movie and instead chose to do Pulp Fiction.